You know, when you get she said, "How do I have to run? Really hard like that."
He's still got a lot of puppy in him too. And so that's really cool. Sitting in a wheelchair. Like this. But his back end's still on the floor. That's how big he is. And then it's up here. And then he must have just.
And you try to be careful to get your hand away from her. But you can't get your head. Of course, I mean, she's all over the ground. Then she gets her feelings hurt if I don't pay attention to her. You know, she kind of looks at me like, it's really weird. She walks off. You know?
Oh, well. They're
They're fine.
Sure.
Burning any pump out?
Chief?
No, they did it on their own.
Cheap.
Well, you're bright.
Better put this on.
You're bright.
Yeah, my sweater, I forgot to put it in the dryer. So it's in the dryer at work.
Well, at least we can see you.
Yes. Not to upstage the court.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna upstage the court. But it wasn't ours.
Yeah, you don't want to draw attention to
It's
yourself.
all Tom's. Can you see me?
No, what? Can you see me? Where you going?
He's going everywhere. Come on, just
Where's your bright? You need an orange one. He's got it.
No, I don't want to be seen.
Well, you're seeing with him, so.
Always forget something.
The guy is bright as red as some big.
You get really.
You get it.
I heard that.
Personally experienced.
The call popped up and I was like, what? And I opened my front door and I saw it was flames. The ring footage is funny because you see Brianna go outside. Oh my God. Oh my God. So it's back there. I'm like, you ever seen a fire before?
Hey, Sarah.
Nothing to say here.
I think they see you there to keep. I did. I haven't seen anything. Signatures.
Come on now. Yeah,
So you make good decisions.
that's been proven over time. I've heard that before. You had your kids.
Very
he could remember his
I know.
Yeah, where you like. Just reverse it.
All right, let's call the Blanco County Commissioners Court to order this Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. Ask Ms. Law to call the roll.
Judge Bray,
Here.
Commissioner Weir,
Here.
Commissioner Eaton,
Here.
Commissioner Leeson,
Here.
Commissioner Grant.
Here. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain in the standing indicate with that vote right.
Father, we come to you this morning, thanking you for a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for the fact that the sun is shining. Thank you, God, for America, for this wonderful state, and the county that you bless us to live in. Before we ask you for anything else today, God, we ask that you touch those that are not well today. We ask for your healing virtue to reach down and touch this county. And then, God, we ask you for wisdom on this meeting today, for guidance, for your continued favor. And most of all, Lord, may we remind ourselves to stay the course. keep you in front of us and seek you always. Again, I thank you for all who are here today and bless and protect them today. In Jesus' name we pray, and all together say, amen. God bless you.
This time, on regular meeting, of the Platteville County Commissioners Court, in order to open a public hearing. Regarding countywide polling places program. Next time, hearing the court. Yeah, microphone is ready. We got a few people signed up. Slideshow? While they're doing that, I would ask you just a couple of questions. Looking at the August, I guess you call it rejection letter from the Secretary of State's office to me, actually. But you were copied. A couple of things I just wanted to confirm. We had a public hearing last time before the application on this process.
We did.
And unlike, say, the Commission Court sets the tax rate, there's no legal requirement to have a public hearing. We did it as a just an additional measure.
That is part of the requirement of county going program.
Okay. So we need to go for the legal requirement. Apparently, it's not a legal requirement, but they strongly encourage a county to form a vote center advisory committee. And you did that, right?
We did.
And you met, you probably have some, in your presentation, some results or comments about that.
No, but I think I have an impression on mine that it's just in December, so.
Okay. And then lastly, I know that Mr. Ingram at the Secretary of State says that we are encouraged to reapply,
Just what we're doing.
which is kind of an invitation. I would say, right?
Yes.
You didn't suggest we should reapply. So you have your
Well, I'll just start and then
Share it with the world, but it's not, it will not come out.
Okay, so just like before, what we have today is called traditional voting precinct in Logan County. So whatever precinct you live in, that's the precinct you vote in on election day. If we went to vote centers, it would be just like early voting. They could vote in any location that we have available at the county. Our minimum requirements that we have to have for that is we have to have a ballot marking device, which we have, it's the express machine. We have to have a precinct ballot counter, which is what we have a DS200. And both of those have to be in place at the polling location we're using for. We have to have an electronic poll book, which we've been using those for years. And we have to have a public hearing to inform the public of what we're doing. In January, we came and asked to start the application again, so that was our next to file intent, so we've done that, and I said that was Secretary of State. We have our public hearing today, we're going to conduct our public hearing, and then we're going to start the application, which is a lengthy process. So what we're going to be looking for are letters of support. We will use the public hearing Our methodology, we kind of put into place last time we did this to find our voting locations, which we already had. We have our election judges in place that are in place for 2 years. And we have started talking to the local subdivisions last time about how they could jump on board with us to do this. Your next slide just shows all the counties that are involved. Counties near us, counties under 20,000 that are close to our range. How this will benefit our voters. Citizens can vote near home, work, or school without being in their respective precincts. Which I think is a win-win considering redistricting less than right now. Some of those voters in Blanco would have to drive to Johnson City to vote, to where if this is implemented come November, they can still vote in their respective precincts where they've voted for years. Just goes to say for the next one, there's no voter confusion, no wrong location to vote on election day. Hopefully this will ease the convenience of voter turnout and have more voter turnout. And then we'll help our voters with being in the wrong precinct to potentially have a provisional ballot, which is what they would have to do at the end of the night. If they're there too late and can't make it to the next location, they get a provisional ballot, just to get them in the correct place to vote. Our voting locations are 102 is the Baptist Church in Blanco, 201 is the Catholic Church here in Johnson City, 302 is the Hoppy Room across the street, 303 is the Round Mountain Fire Station, which we're excited to use that in a couple of weeks, and the other Blanco location is the South Annex. Early voting will stay in the same 2 locations. The primary location is here in the Hoppy Room, and the other location is at the Annex in Blanco. And eventually, as we continue to grow, which we know we are, hopefully we'll add more locations to ease the travel and everything of our voters that are moving in. So what keeps me from voting twice, and we meant to bring it and we forgot. So in 21, in the constitutional election, we have implemented MyPrice, which is basically just a hotspot. That hotspot attaches to the 3 iPads that are not on county property. County property is secure, so we can use that Wi-Fi. Those other 3 locations use the Wi-Fi, and all of those poll books talk to each other on election day all day long. So if we are implemented with countywide voting, you cannot go to your precinct and vote and then try to come up here and vote because they're at the top. You're not to all day long. Let's see. So we've been using this for several years. When we program the iPads are programmed with each one of you in your respective precincts. That precinct is tied to a ballot style. That ballot style is then generated to your ballot that is printed at the time you check in. So you take that blank ballot, you go to your express vote, it already knows that you live in precinct 102, it knows you can vote for whatever, and it knows anything about it. In this election, it will know when you check in, you will have to pick your party. So if it knows you're a Democrat or Republican, it knows exactly what ballot style you're going to get. For the Republican Party, it's going to know that you can vote for a commissioner and a JP, or you can vote for everybody else in the county and just a JP. It'll know all of that. And it'll have your propositions on the back. It'll have all that information already programmed into it. So where do we go from here? So January 11th, I'll go to reapply. Today we're having a public hearing. The deadline is August 1st to have our bid application turned into the Secretary of State. Hopefully by August 31st, they'll let us know something, and if it's implemented, we'll use it for the November 8th election.
What's your internal deadline to get our application in?
Well, after redistricting took us so far behind, and we have early voting starting Tuesday, and we're so far behind already. I'm anticipating sometime after May 24th. Only because between now and May 24th, we have 3 elections that we have to get put together.
So correct me if I'm wrong, I think there are 6 slots that get considered each time, the 2 are reserved for metros and 4 for smaller counties.
I believe that's right.
And there were 7 applicants the last time, and we were one of the 3 that were rejected. So, and given that other counties are starting to come up to speed with us in terms of electronic equipment and being able to do countywide polling, I would say it's not a slam dunk that we have to, if we're going to apply, we have to competitively apply.
Absolutely.
You agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have, unless you have anything further, we have some public hearing participants, and then we can close if you want.
Okay.
Can I ask her a question?
Absolutely, my apologies.
Earlier, when y'all put a committee together, I guess you call it a committee to, and it was, if I remember, it was kind of 8 political. Your party chairs were involved, if I'm not mistaken, the judge. And then y'all we select, what, 25 people?
We have 20 people on the committee.
Okay.
Um,
Were they selected because of their political affiliation? How were they selected?
Sort of. So I took our party chairs, the county judge and I, county attorney, and then I took someone from any entity that could potentially contract with us to do an election. Cities, schools, libraries, groundwater. I took an individual from precinct 304. And we have an individual from the women voters. We have Hispanics, we have women, we have Democrats, we have Republicans. So we just put a list together and they agreed to be on the committee and.
Okay. After they reviewed everything, was it unanimous that they were for this?
It was unanimous to roll forward with county vote.
So it was.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, of course, part of this process is that we need to close 304. Is that correct?
Mhm. But 304 is closed, I believe, and in the past, redistricting has happened, it's not even a conversation anymore.
Right. But there's people that still think that that's a problem.
Well, if you look at our redistricting maps, it's not a problem,
Yeah.
304 does not exist. And
Right.
our voter registration cards were out last week, and 304 does not exist.
Right. When they're talking about voter suppression or whatever, because it was farther to go a certain direction, did y'all take into any account of any constituents where it was actually closer because of the location? Was there anybody that lived into that? How many people did we gain that was actually closer for them to vote? That would offset that.
We did, and there are some that are closer to go to the fire station now than there are to go to St. Luke's. That's
We really never took account of that. We just accepted it. It's going to be closer to one better.
Well, we did take it into account. We did drive it. Commissioner Mason and I pretty much drove one day, all day, the northern end of the county,
Looked into it pretty close.
and we looked into it very close.
Okay, thank you.
And to this question, if you took a map of Blanford County and put dots where the people that were on your committee live, it would be pretty much countywide.
Yes,
You picked all of them.
yes.
I have a question. My question was specifically for this. So on the, what keeps me from voting twice? So the individual that tries to vote twice, what happens? So if, let me say I voted down in Blanco and then I come to Johnson City and I try to vote at the Catholic Church, what am I going to get from?
I'm hoping the poll worker would tell you that you've already voted in another location. And you're going to scramble and call me, I'm sure.
Okay. And then
if you become a hostile voter, I'm sure you have to do that against you.
Okay, but technically, you know, if you voted in one spot and you went to the next spot and tried to vote again, the poll worker at that point, when you check in, is gonna tell you, our records show that you voted down in the south end. Will they call down the south end to double check? How does that?
I would assume they would call me because I can see everything, I can see the back end of the poll books.
Okay.
So.
So there's a way that you can confirm that this person did or did not vote.
Oh,
It's at a different location. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, because if they have a problem in a polling location, they can call me, they can have a spoiled ballot. They can call me, pulling out that ballot that they have done, and that individual has to check in all over again, need the correct ballot. Because sometimes if, right now in the building, they hit their hands too hard with hand sanitizer and they touch the ballots, their hands could be too wet and that paper is very sensitive. So it could spoil that ballot to where they have to void the ballot and start over. It has happened a couple of times.
Okay.
Not many.
It updates this in real time. As soon as that person votes, it's part of the time.
Not real time, every minute. I think it updates every minute, but that's real time enough for me.
And so, on Commissioner Leishman's question, and I know you don't want to talk about 304 because it's in the past, but that was a problem with 304 in his scenario is the communication between the poll books and the,
Very much so,
because it's remote.
very remote.
And the MiFi or Wi-Fi or MiFi or whatever you call it, problems.
Yes.
The other thing about 304, I guess I wanted to mention is I don't know if you've heard it or not, I've heard intonations that that was some sort of nefarious plot to suppress voters, et cetera, et cetera. However, what are there, about 250 or 253 registered voters in there or something like that?
Last time I had it was like 310, but we haven't really looked.
I guess my point is that I can see today, I can't, there is no plot that I know of, and I'm interested in hearing any plot to continue reducing voter locations. And I can see today, long past me and probably even past you, when Whiteman County will have 2 or 3 times as many voter precincts because the populations will grow.
I mean, look at the counties around us, they're growing quickly, and they're, just don't think they're quite there yet.
Exactly.
So on that point, when you say reducing more, it's still required by law that you still have to have 1 per precinct. So no matter if we go to county voting or not, we still have to have a minimum of 4. We currently have 5.
And we'll
Which
keep those
we'll keep
5.
5, right, yeah, so.
Okay, so we'll have you closing in with 6 participants.
Okay.
Stephanie Fisher.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Fisher. I am a resident of Johnson City, Lloyd County, Texas, sorry. I'm a city councilwoman for the city of Johnson City, and I served as an election judge for 2 cycles. During my time as an election judge, I saw countless voters miss their chance to vote because they had rushed home from work in Austin or San Antonio and gotten to my polling place with only minutes before the polls closed. Only to find out they were at the wrong location and there was no way they were going to get to their proper voting precinct before the polls closed. If we had countywide voting at that point, those people would have been able to stop at a much closer polling location and had no trouble casting their ballots. I personally believe that rural counties would highly benefit from countywide voting, perhaps even more than our urban counterparts. In rural counties like Blanco, residents have a central location to which they travel to get groceries, go to the bank, and take their kids to school. Sometimes those people must travel up to half an hour. If those citizens were able to add voting to their list of errands, then their opportunity to vote without a sense of urgency would be increased exponentially. The right to vote and the ability to do so without feeling rushed is imperative, as the most important decisions for our state and our country are made in the voting booth. As a city councilwoman, I represented the city of Johnson City on our countywide voting advisory committee. At our first meeting, I sat in a room with known leaders of members of both the Republican Party and Democrat Party in Blanco County. Within 10 minutes of calling the meeting to order, we had already all agreed that countywide voting is something that Blanco County desperately needs. I have not seen that level of bipartisanship since the days following 9/11. In fact, I've only come across one person during this process who was against instituting countywide voting, and that person is well known within political subdivisions in this county to be a troublemaker who only aims to oppose the majority opinion. On behalf of those I represent, I ask that Blanco County be granted countywide voting as soon as possible. Our residents want and need it. And I'm going to put this in Ms. Speed's application to the state. Thank you.
Mr. Terry Harris.
Thank you, good morning. So, first of all, I just want to be on record, I hope that the slide deck will be published, presented this morning, since we couldn't see it, so.
Yeah, I think we can actually get it on the, can we get it on the web?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll scan it.
So, from day one, I have personally supported the intent of countywide voting. I've stated that in this room multiple times. There were references in some of the comments this morning about people concerned about some plots to restrict people from voting. And I'll just point out that there was some misinformation originally when this program was proposed. In fact, in the original slide deck, there was an indication that there was a goal of reducing the number of polling places. And so as a goal, that doesn't make any sense at all. Anytime that polling places are going to be closed, I think it should be examined and it should be questioned. So other than that, the goals of the program are definitely beneficial to the program. It's unfortunate that the issue was muddied by some of the earlier statements in 2020. But having said that, and I was a participant in the committee that's been mentioned, I heard the facts, heard the pros and cons, and I continue to support countywide voting. I have received many comments from members of my party who support countywide voting. I have talked to other counties that have implemented countywide voting, and their experience has been very positive. So I can speak for the Organic Democratic Party and we support countywide voting. Thank you.
Ms. Deanne Welch.
I am Deanne Welch of Blanco County, and I brought with me election code, Texas election code, Title IV, Chapter 42, Section 42.035, public notice. A, beginning with the first week following the week in which an order changing a county election precinct is adopted, the Commissioners Court shall publish notice of the change. Number one, in a newspaper in the county once a week for 3 consecutive weeks, and number two, on the county's internet website if the county maintains an internet website for 3 consecutive weeks. Now I'm going to skip down to Part D. The county clerk shall deliver a copy of the notice to the Secretary of State not later than the 20th day after the date the order changing the boundary is adopted. Gentlemen, truth shall always be known objectively. It has been claimed that my husband, Ken Welch, single-handedly stopped the countywide polling place program from being implemented in Blanco County last year. This claim is not true. No one citizen has that power. Our governmental institutions do not function in this manner. The truth is, our Commissioners Court, in conjunction with our elections officer and our county clerk, failed to give proper notice to the public and to the Secretary of State after they voted to close precinct 304 on July the 27th, 2021. Upon realizing this failure, I came to the Commissioners Court on September 14th of last year and put the Commissioners on notice. Now it is February, 5 months after the date of which the statutory failure was noted, and this court still has not corrected the deficit. Therefore, it's likely the countywide polling place program will not be accepted again by the Secretary of State. I wish we had countywide polling. I wish that you would get in line and obey the law. I forwarded to the Secretary of State a copy of the November notice in both newspapers noting that 304 was still open. There is no agenda vote since July 27th of 2021. Actually, but certainly not since 304 was open during the constitutional amendment vote. No agenda item, no notice. I have to obey the law, and I expect nothing less of my county board.
Mr. Kenneth Welch. Good morning. On July 27th, 2021, you voted to close the election precinct 304 so that you would qualify for the countywide polling place program by only having 2 election precincts in Commissioner Leesman's precinct number 3. However, your desire to participate in the countywide polling is not a legal justification for closing an election precinct. After taking the vote, you failed to notify the public of your actions required by state statute. You also failed to issue the order to close 304 that you had just voted for. In short, closing 304 that you have subsequently claimed since that time did not really take place. You, Judge Bray, and Kristen Spees have repeatedly stated that 304 is already closed. I would like to believe that these repeated statements are merely a lack of understanding of the legal requirements, but the evidence indicates otherwise. Leading up to the November 21 constitutional amendments election, Kristen posted sample ballots for each election precinct, including 304. She also put out a public notice advising that the election precincts had been consolidated for that election. Again, it specifically noted precinct 304. Kristen clearly understood that 304 had not been closed. Moving forward, September 14, 2021, you voted to appoint an advisory committee to consider reopening precinct 304 and not reapplying for countywide voting, as if 304 had been closed. Judge Bray indicated he had selected the individuals to participate on the committee. Interestingly, he appointed himself, Kristen Spees, and County Attorney Deborah Early, all who had a role in the original application. In the discussion in this courtroom leading to the decision to establish the committee, Kristen Spees said, if we don't have 304 to cause a problem, we can proceed with the application for countywide polling. The committee met on November 15th to discuss whether to reopen 304 or to go ahead with another application to participate in countywide polling. Kristen Spees misled the committee by suggesting that reopening 304 was an option. Election 304 had never been eliminated. I find these tactics particularly distasteful. On November 23rd, 2021, Kristen Spees made her report to this court announcing unanimous support to leave precinct 304 closed and reapply for countywide polling. Twice during her presentation, she announced 304 is already closed. No vote was taken on November 23rd. After being falsely advised for months that 304 had been eliminated, even Commissioner Leesman said 304 is already closed and therefore no vote is necessary. Judge Bray has often referred to
Here's a copy of that. Comments for your public record or hearing record. Thank you.
I'm gonna get the name wrong, and so I'm hoping that you'll correct me when you take the microphone. Mr. Ralph Minister. It's gotta be better than that.
There's merch store.
I wasn't so. Mr. Mercer.
That's a very common experience. Unless you live in Germany. I'll be very brief. My name is Ralph Minister. I am in no way personally affected by the common loading. My habits won't change at all. But I just want to express support for what I feel. Because it appears, based on what previous people have been saying, there are benefits for the county, and there are no additional costs as the infrastructure already exists. And to me, that is a no-brainer. Now, I've just heard some technical challenges which seem to be on the side and not to the core issue. I would hope that you proceed with, county-wide would and address any other issues, independently, whether communication or something. Because the technical challenges are with words not the same and effective opposition to questions.
I do have a question, it's not related to your presentation.
Thank you.
But, no, hang on. Would you mind describing for the commissioners your background, your professional background?
I have an unusual background. I've had 3 different careers. Currently, I'm retired. Lived out in Blanco County for almost 20 years now. Sandy Grove, 22 acres. So I was born and raised in the city, and I'm still educated every day. Live on what I call a ranch, as a garden to Texas. But my 3 careers have been law enforcement, metro area, Minnesota, so I'm very familiar with. I live in Minneapolis, so I'm very familiar with what goes on up there and what they have to change. I actually worked with the city council. I was on the council underground, getting police information to stop some of the changes that were totally unauthorized. And we made some other changes, and basically nothing had changed. So that's just some centuries. My second career was engineering. Microprocessor product development for 20+ years at North Law. And my third career was banking, business risk and controls, third-party risk. And I've got multiple degrees in different kinds of things and do a lot of the subjects. So I look at something like this as more of a system. It's not just an isolated piece, it's how all pieces fit together to the result. That's what might be called systems. That also systems. Have some military background, Army National Guard, radar, target acquisition, radar, Navy, reserve both as leading technician and aviation group, maintenance officer.
Thanks.
That's all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Carla Lewis.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Carla Lewis. I'm speaking to you as a voter in Blanco County and also as chairperson for the Blanco County Republican Party. I've spoke about this countywide voting in the past, and my opinions and research has not changed. I was part of that committee that was formed in November. In that committee room, I saw Republicans, Democrats, people that I don't think like and they don't think like me. But in that room, I believe there were actually 18 of us present that night. We had individuals representing the county, the different cities. We had folks representing Precinct 304, 303, all the other voting factions. And it was very unanimous across the room. There was no negative discussion. You know, there were a few questions that were clearly answered by Ms. Spees. I just felt like the room came together as one and felt like this was what was best for the 9,500 voters in Blanco County overall. I feel like what I've seen in this process, I feel like the voting administrator and her staff, as well as the county, have researched this very adequately. I have not seen any indication of trying to mislead any of the individuals involved or in the decision-making process or the voters themselves. I can tell you, as a party chair, we have went to great lengths to inform our voters as to how this will impact them throughout future elections if this is approved. There has been overwhelming support. I was in a room with 120, 130 people last night. There's overwhelming support for countywide voting. The dissent is extremely small and pretty much, unnoticed. We have encouraged our voters in the Republican Party to reach out to the Secretary of State as Ms. Spees continues with this process of application to voice their opinion about this. I think from the beginning of this application process in 2021, the information was clear and concise presented by the elections office. I have never felt that I was misled in any way or that I could question the information going forward. I've done my own research and spoke with other counties regarding countywide voting and feel extremely confident that that is what's best for Montgomery County. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I do have a question for you. You online?
Yes, sir.
You hosted that thing last night.
Correct.
And there was one area where I think I disagree with you.
Okay.
You did encourage the citizens of Blanco County to make their wishes known to the Secretary of State.
Correct.
I don't exactly disagree with you, but I think that's step whatever. What I keep saying is the last time we did this, we played by the rules, which is you have a public hearing, as Ms. Spees outlined, is required by law. You gather all of the information, the Commissioner's Court blesses it and instructs her to move on with it or not, and then she applies. And a package goes to the Secretary of State of like a beauty contest. We played by the rules, we did all that last time, and then but we didn't know. We were blindsided, we did not know that apparently you can approach the Secretary of State. But I guess my point is, I don't really disagree with encouraging folks to write in to the Secretary of State. I do think it is important, and for anybody that's listening on the web or that sees this in the newspaper somehow or other, I do think it's important that this record here at the Commissioner's Court be complete with the wishes of the citizens of Blanco County.
I agree, and I think you mentioned a valid point to that, is if we can get our paper to report that. And that's an issue that I have with the papers in Blanco and Johnson City. It appears to be very one-sided as to what they're willing to put out there for the wishes of the citizens of Blanco County. I agree. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I do have one
letter that was sent to me by email that I would like to read to you all. It is from a citizen in 304, and he's added this to my packet. It says, Judge Ray and one of the county commissioners, I appreciate the opportunity to serve on the voting advisory committee as a representative, a longtime resident of the northeastern part of Lincoln County. After attending the county committee meeting and hearing from the elected officials on the pros and cons of keeping the Cypress Mill polling location, it became apparent to me that it made very good sense to close the longtime location and merge with Round Mountain at the new Round Mountain Volunteer Fire Department. I reached out to folks that live on County Road CR 301, Cypress Mill Road, CR 302, Old Cypress Mill Road, and 303, Fall Creek Road, FM 962 east of Cypress Mill, and RN 962 west of Cypress Mill. Of the folks who responded to me on this topic, 100% of them agreed that closing the Cypress Mill location made sense. While there were few that hated to see the longtime location closed, they felt it was in the best interest of the county, and they all agreed that open polling actually made it easier for everyone. Folks in these remote parts of the county all recognize that we drive every day for such reasons as work, groceries, fuel, and general goods. Driving a few extra miles to vote wasn't a big deal for any of them. Thank you for allowing me the time to serve on the county committee. Please let me know if there's any other questions in regards to this matter. Shirley Silverman.
So we will want to enter that into the.
Yeah, this was part of the packet. So just one last thing that I will tell you, I have told you in the beginning that I will start going out to civic groups in the community. I had started that until we got a little behind with redistricting, so we'll play on hold for a minute, but I have met as one group. And met with them several weeks ago. Of the groups that I met with, everyone inside was very supportive, made complete sense and ease for some of the elderly who were part of this, that if they do vote on election day, that we will. Two of the individuals that were in the meeting are residents of adjacent counties that already implement countywide polling, and they spoke very highly of the ease and convenience and what it has done for their county as far as their voting turnout. So that was very encouraging for me to hear from them.
Anything else? I can't help but ask you, did I come to you with a list of participants in that committee?
No, I think we kind of all put it down together.
Okay.
We need to talk about a few, but I think I put a list together and we all kind of agreed it was in the best interest for our group.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on the proposed plan to implement countywide polling during this public hearing? With that, we'll close the hearing, return to the regular commissioners' court, go to item 5, public comments. Mr. Kenneth Welch. Before you begin, sir, I need to poll the commissioners. The rules state that the comments need to be germane to one of the agenda items that you're taking up today. The form says that the agenda item wishing to be addressed is agenda item 5, which is public comments. I think that's circuitous and not really in the spirit. So in my mind, the speaker either needs to be identifying items 6 through 17, or there's nothing to speak about. Anyone have a feeling on this?
That's what it's designed for, is to speak on whatever the item on the agenda are.
Right, but what appears to be being done is using agenda item 5, public comments, as an item.
As an item on the agenda, it's not.
Right. All right, so if you want to identify which item you're speaking on.
Well, there's kind of the number in front of me, but just the countywide polling, which I think is the last item on there. And I'll just pick up where I left off. Judge Bray has often referred to how little old Blanco County has managed various issues facing all counties. Just because Blanco is small does not relieve Blanco officials of this court from compliance with Texas statutes, and certainly does not give license to deceive the public in regard to any action taken by the school. Regarding today's discussion about another application for countywide polling, I urge you to get honest with the public and yourselves. The only reason you're seeking to implement countywide polling is because you wrongly believe it will allow you to close 304 and relieve Kristen Speed and her staff of the work associated with managing the polling place at Cypress Mill. The increased distance each 304 voter will be required to drive on election day has been dismissed by Judge Bray as for the greater good of the voters in the south of the county. I was unaware that in the United States of America, one voter must sacrifice their right to vote so that another could have better access. It's my understanding that the criteria to close an election precinct under Texas elections codes are facility limitations, which have been shown to be a fictitious condition. Substantially small population, precinct 304 has over 300 registered voters. Unreasonable expense, Kristen Speed advised the advisory committee that the cost to operate 304 was about $500, hardly unreasonable. The election code also states that combining election precincts cannot result in discouraging participation. In the November 2021 election with consolidated precincts, 304 voters required to drive to Johnson City to vote turned out at a rate of 9.3%. Every other precinct voted at a rate of 14%. 304 voters were discouraged by the distance they had to drive. Gentlemen, get honest with yourselves. Vote to end this adventure and keep voting easy for every Blanco voter. Do not go forward with another application for countywide polling. And here's a copy of my comments for the public record again.
Ms. Deanne Welch. Ms. Welch, same concern, you identified agenda item 5, if you want to identify your agenda item.
I too will speak on agenda item number 4. Truth may always be known or shall always be known objectively. It's just not some construct in somebody's imagination. There's no troublemaker who's coming to this podium and out in a public meeting defaming my husband, lying about my husband. That's very upsetting to me. She's lying about the countywide polling program. Judge Bray, you are wrong on the rules of decorum. The Open Meetings Act permits me to speak on any agenda item or no agenda item. You need to check the local government code.
Okay, I brought this up the last time, that's the second time she has disparaged a member of the public in the court's presence, called a liar. Anybody have any concerns?
That's the second time she's done it on the same person over and over again. And Judge, refresh my memory on disparaging, whenever you call somebody a liar.
Insulting language directed toward the court or any person in the court's presence is not tolerated, and possible sanctions include cancellation of time, removal from the courtroom, contempt citation, and other civil and criminal sanctions.
So if someone stood up here at the podium and said something that wasn't true and I called him a liar, would there be any repercussions possible?
I think we should sanction you.
I just called him a liar because I didn't my opinion and what they said is not true.
I guess in your case, since we're just having as I guess an example or as a possibility scenario, under the public. So under the public, you have these other options of limiting their time, limiting the courtroom, we'll find out.
But I mean, it's been going on and on. This, just reaching out there a little bit at a time and accusing people of lying and stuff. And I don't know if anybody on the court has ever mentioned anybody by name. Somebody assumed it, I guess, and thought that that's who they were talking about. But to call somebody a liar, we need to do something. We need to think about doing something next year. But we said that last time. Not too long ago. It happened just a short while ago, a couple of meetings ago.
Well, I think that's right. And I'm just looking for your thoughts or your guidance on this, because our rules say that we do not intend to provide a public forum for the demeaning of any individual or group. Calling someone a liar is by definition demeaning.
The only concern that I have that there was not a name mentioned. I mean, it was left an assumption. So we can all assume who she was in. I think she walked a very fine line, so it's not respected. So, but I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that she violated it because she did not mention the name. Again, I don't think it's very respectful, getting to the podium and bringing it out. And I would assume and hope that that person will make different, comments in the future for productive and not criticism.
So I have the ability to do the same. I can call somebody a liar, but not call them by name. I mean, I could have easily done that today. I mean, and where does it stop? We just get to where we're not mentioning people's names. We're just staring them right in the eye and calling them a liar.
Okay.
It's wrong.
It is wrong, and I think that Mr. Leachman
Yes, sir.
made it clear it's wrong. We're not going to get very far, and I'm not prepared to. I've had to make the motion each and every time before that there any sort of sanction was issued. I'm not prepared to just continue doing that. I'll just keep taking the arrows. You know, because there are several things I thought were basically could have violated the rules about what's said about me, but you know, I've said this before, but I like to go by the Violet principle. My mother-in-law was named Violet, she was born in this county, and it's a small town, and gossip is a sport, if not an art, and I have been known to complain a time or two about things that were said about me, and the Violet principle is, don't worry about it, if they're talking about you, they're leaving somebody else alone. And so for today, I guess I'll let them just make sport of me, as usual, and we'll move on. One of these days, perhaps I'll go too far.
Judge, let me say this, if it happens again, then I will make a motion to do something.
Moving to item 6, is your consideration of the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Moving to item 7, the estimated payroll for February.
I'll make a motion to approve the estimated February 2022 payroll in the amount of $366,662.29.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Randall, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Takes us to item 8, the official reports, which are all in and available. I'm sorry. Yes, they are all in and available for your review.
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal reports as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Cleary, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Takes us to item 9. The line item transfers, is there. Passing item 9, we move to item 10, outstanding bills.
Make a motion to approve the outstanding bills in the amount of $278,476.02.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Greenberg, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Get the pleasure to do item 11. Commissioner Soltmeyer, and I still call him that, just like I still call. Just like I call former state leaders, governor, whatever it might happen to be. In this case, Commissioner Soltmeyer has served. Has served Blanco County after being a commission. And the organization, the Lower Colorado River Authority Water Planning Group, is the technical name, sought to honor him by his service 19 years on that group. And if you look at this plaque, the Region K planning group extends all the way from up around Vernon, maybe further in the Highland Lakes, all the way to the coast. Goes down the Colorado River, all the way to the coast, into all those counties involved. So it's a big region, and it's an important region for water, and Commissioner Soltmeyer has been an integral part of that from 2003 to 2021, and we are honored to get to recognize his service and thank him for his service in presenting him with this plaque. Want to say anything?
Before you do, it's a pleasure to accept Mr. Buick's class.
Thank you. No, it has been a pleasure. That was a board that, I believe, well, my first thoughts when I really wanted on that board was, this is all about water for the next 50 years. That was a planning group. That's all we did, was try to plan for 50 years out. And we came up with a new plan every 5 years. It's pretty, look at it, it's pretty in-depth, very in-depth actually. And my only problem I ever had with the whole thing, we took data as we went on through the 5 years. I knew when we published the book or the facts that we all had, that there was we had some new data, but you couldn't get it published in time. So I always knew there was something wrong, but it was very helpful to a lot of people that they could get low interest loans. If it's in the data that the Region K thought that they could, it was a project that was worth doing, they could get low interest loans, cities and counties and so forth, and to the other entities to supply water. And my job, I felt like, was mainly to help the people in this county, but we didn't have much water. Our main thing was we wanted to keep what we had because we didn't have very little water. And of course, the big dogs in the were LCRA and the city of Austin, because they use the water supply. And thank the court for letting me get on this for a while.
Thank you.
Item 12 involves your consideration of an advertisement for bids by Commissioner Eden.
Yes, this bid I want to place in the paper and put out is Manny's Road. This is part of the Kingdom Army award to us for the damage we have done to the road. I have held back on it and making sure we get all the damage, but I would like, at this time, place this, out for bid.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Rear, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, it says acknowledge the resignation of Adele Moore. If it said, consider or vote on, I think I'd have to vote no, and make her stay. But, it doesn't say that, it says acknowledge it. I believe you have it before you, I'm just gonna read it. Ms. Morgan says, to please accept her resignation. It's been a pleasure working with you through the years. It's been rewarding to participate in an organization that makes a difference in the lives of so many, especially the positive impact to the children of our community. At this time, she feels it best to be replaced by someone who is more in touch with the community. She's working out of town and don't see many of the families regularly. In addition, she has elderly parents, kids, and grandkids, and they seem to take precedence to all of their activities. But she would not have it any other way. She's blessed to have such an active family life, and she thanks all of you on the board for your continued service. Ms. Russell. And so, with that, I offer it to you to acknowledge your resignation.
I'd like to make a motion acknowledging the resignation of Adele Moreland from the Blanco County Child Protection and Family Advocacy Board and recognize her for her community service.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Eager, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Replat, 1401 and 1402 in Rockingham.
This is a typical Rockingham replat. We're adding or combining two lots together, 1401, 1402. The new lot to be known as 1401R. And I move that we approve this replat.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Leishman, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The combined office task force cooperative working agreement is cooperative between Travis and Blanco counties, probably other counties. We have it in front of you. It needs your blessing. It's already been reviewed by the county attorney's office. Needs your blessing in order for it to be executed.
I'll make a motion to authorize the county judge and sheriff to sign the 2022 sheriff's combined auto theft task force cooperative working agreement.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Eager, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 16, discussion of the proposed county-wide polling place program. So this item is not here for you, I guess any action to be taken. I think last time, Ms. Speaks, she's still, I guess last time, what's required for her to move forward with an application with the commissioner vote saying move forward with an application. Is that right?
Yes, and y'all did that.
And, or not. So,
is there any other resolution that is needed?
When the packet is put together, it'll come back to the court for the court to sign the letter and resolution that is in the packet. And the packet's complete.
When the packet is complete, there will be a resolution attached.
Correct.
so theoretically, it's going to need to be a vote today, but to be comfortable completing the application, you probably want to know the sentiment of the court.
Correct.
I would like to make a motion to confirm the commitment to move forward with the countywide code polling in Blanco.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Greenberg, discussion.
One thing I would just ask y'all, if you are in support of it, or anybody in the community is in support of it, if they would write a letter, it will go with the packet, but will go with a big packet considered.
So,
You just turned it to me?
Is there room on your piece of the website to call for that?
For For countywide?
Call for people to give them a timeline, give them a deadline, if they weren't able to be here today, if they'd like to participate and put in some comments.
So the easiest place would be we have a section on our website to contact the elections office. You can fill out that comment request, put any comments you have in there and submit it to us, it comes straight to our email.
Can you attach anything, like a Word document?
You can't attach a Word document, but it comes directly from the individual. You have to give your name, your phone number, your email. And you want to say.
That's a word.
Is there a word limit?
No.
Okay, so you can take a Word document, write your speech. Stick it in there. Well, don't you think there should be some sort of an end time that you want to have that so that you can be putting the packet together?
I would maybe say April 30th, if we do get a few extra minutes to where we can work on this between now and the next election. We're going to work on it. But we have 3 elections, like I said earlier, that are getting us now to be made now and 2024. So it's just going to be a matter of time, a little bit of downtime to work on it. Because it's pretty lengthy packet.
So we could put on the main website and under the news items, the link to the elections officer email or
just the website, it's part of the website.
and invite folks if they want to make a comment. Right.
They can call me, give them an email, or they can address us on the website, they can put it in the mail. And deliver it to us, whatever.
Do you have anything else? I thought there might be more discussion. Are we done?
Take quite a bit.
Everybody has been in favor of it.
And I think, the old saying goes, change is hard. I think if it is implemented, the first election is going to be a little confusing, but after that, it's just going to be a way that we vote from here on out. So, just like with our new equipment, it was difficult to go in the beginning. Now they go to a polling location and they expect to have all of that there. So, it's just going to be.
Why do you suppose the legislature decided to do this in such a slow way?
County marketing, it's really not. There were some other timelines we could have met to do the March election and May elections, but there's no way being 2 of us that we can.
What I meant was the picking of only 4 candidates a year.
I think they made a comment at our conference not long ago that there are almost, I think there's like 85 counties. Something, don't quote me on that, give or take, that do participate in kind of large, small, rural, inner city community. It's around.
I just failed to understand if the county has the ability, why we're keeping the gate so narrow and why we're just taking period of time. Okay. Anything else?
Do we need a motion on that?
Commissioner Leeson moved and Commissioner Bradford seconded. Further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 17 is burn ban. Which expires today. End of today. Passing item 17 and moving to item 8.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Discussion on that.